wanted to start off by saying thank you for those of you who've been watching my videos and have also subscribed to my channel. For some reason, I still can't see who you are. So if you are someone who has subscribed, please reach out to me and let me know so that I can just thank you personally. But in any case, I'm just thankful that you've been tuning in and hanging out with me. Today I wanted to talk about why very last minute, I decided against going to college. So yeah, we'll just jump right in. Ever since I was a little girl, I remember loving to read, to write, anything to do with learning, school, books, anything to do with any of that. I was 100% there. I loved it so much. Yeah, ever since I can remember. And it wasn't until I got to high school where the need to go to college really entered my mind. It's very heavily emphasized in, well, I can't speak for the rest of the country, but the high school I attended was a public school, and going to college, better yet, a 4-year university, is very, very heavily pushed on all students. It's almost looked down upon, and I say almost lightly because I want to say it's very looked down upon for somebody to choose not to go to, a prominent school, or even if it's a community college. It's just not encouraged. And honestly, I didn't have any issues with it because, again, I loved school. I did take honors and advanced placement courses all 4 years of high school. And basically that just means I received credit for college while I was in high school. I took college courses, I had some credit ready by the time I was in college. And I didn't have any problem with that. I loved to study, to read, to write. Always, I've just always loved that. And so for 4 years straight, I prepared myself and I told myself and I believed that I was going to go to a 4-year university. I mean, there wasn't even a question about it. That's just what I was going to do. So it was 4 years of prep for that. I didn't know what I was going to study, to be honest with you. My senior year in high school came around and I applied to different universities, all in California. As far as I know, I got accepted to all of them, but I ended up choosing the one in San Marcos, which was closest to where I grew up. It was Cal State. And yeah, I remember I had all my courses picked out already. I had my orientation done. I went to the campus. I mean, it was set. I even received scholarships and grants that were applicable to the tuition for that. My scholarships were based on my writing. It was just like contests that you would enter, and if your writing got selected, you received a portion. Things like that I had already accumulated even in middle school as well. So it was just, I was set to go to college. I was ready. That was like my focus. However, even with all that, I've always been a very creative person. I loved art, painting, drawing, anything to do with crafts, building. I loved it. I loved it. But while I was picking out which universities I would like to go to. I was also doing like personality tests where they would tell you what kind of jobs would be suitable for you based on what you like and all that stuff. Some of those were oriented around art, but I thought to myself, well, I can't paint for the rest of my life. I mean, I won't make a living out of that. It's not even a question. I can't do that. Like, art was more of a hobby for me because in my mind it was, I can't write for a living. I can't draw for a living. My only option is to have those things as hobbies. I have to go to school to be successful, to be someone in life, to be anything. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I thought, because that's also what's very, very pushed in that school anyway. So I was set for that university, and looking back now, I feel like it was the protection of the Holy Spirit, the fact that I didn't end up going, because I wasn't praying around that time. I wasn't, I didn't have a relationship with my father where I would say, hey, is this what you want me to do? I believed in God at that time. I believed in him. I did. I just didn't have a relationship with him. So all the decisions I was making were based off of what Nettie thought. And at 18, I'm sorry, but there's not a lot to know. And at that time, I was also a part of the Jehovah's Witness organization, which is they consider themselves a form of Christianity, but that's a whole nother topic that I can get into later. For now, I guess what's relevant, how that's relevant, is that I wanted to also be a missionary. I loved everything about what missionaries were involved in. Going out and talking to people who have never heard of God, or who've never heard of Christ, or who've never heard the gospel. Traveling to places where they don't have what we have, having grown up here. Just everything about it was so attractive to me. However, in that organization, you have to be married in order to be a missionary. And that's also another topic for another time. But I was not thinking about marriage around that time, so that was out of the picture. However, I did have a very strong yearning to serve the Lord full time. I did, ever since, or even as a child. I remember having that deep just love for God. I remember I would write him letters. I would talk to him as a child. As I got older, there was like a division there, obviously on my end, but I wanted to serve him. And well, I don't exactly remember how it all happened, but cosmetology came into my head, because cosmetology, it has to do with hair, cosmetics, makeup, skin, nails, facials. It involves all of that, and it's a form of art. And I figured, well, I can make money doing that, and it allows me a flexible schedule. I can build my own schedule, and I can serve the Lord full time. And by serving, at that time, I'm in that organization, what that looked like was preaching full time. So whereas most people have a full-time job that they go to, a secular job, I would have been they call them regular pioneers, where you are preaching to people full-time and then you work part-time. That's what I wanted to do, because I figured that was my best option out of the ones I had. And so basically, the reason why I jumped into cosmetology instead of going to school was because I wanted to serve the Lord full time. I wanted to do that. And also, at that time, when I graduated high school, there was a big recession and there was a shortage of teachers at the universities, and especially at the one that I was going to be attending, which meant that instead of having to study for 4 years to get my degree, I would have had to be there for 5, which meant more money, more debt, and I was doing the math, and I didn't want to do that. So I had been paying rent. I mean, it wasn't like a full rent, but it was a portion to my mom since I started working, since my first job. And so I asked her, because I still lived with her, and I said, hey, I know I've been preparing to go to university the past 4 years of my life, but I want to go to cosmetology school. Here's why. Would you be okay with supplying me with food and a roof over my head just while I study cosmetology, which would be 9 months, Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 5? And she said yes, which I was thankful for. So I did. I canceled my classes at the university. My closest friends at the time thought I was crazy. They said that I was never going to make money, that I was never going to do anything with my life, that was a terrible idea, yada, 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 yada. But again, I don't take complete credit for that decision. I still feel like it was God's protection over me, pushing me to make a certain decision, because again, I didn't get into a bunch of debt and end up studying something that I wouldn't be using right now. I'm a homemaker now, and when we have children, we plan on having me homeschool them. So, the degree or whatever I would have earned at the time would have now been useless, to be honest with you. So I am very thankful for his protection during that time of my life, especially. I went to school, cosmetology school. I graduated when I was supposed to, 9 months, got licensed, started working, and I've been a cosmetologist now for almost 11 years. Yeah, that's all I've done, and I don't regret it. I absolutely do not regret it. I am not by any means shooting down universities, degrees, all that. I'm not. And I'm also not encouraging cosmetology school. I'm not doing that either. I think, actually, that's not even the word I want to use. It's important to pray about where. I say all that to say that it is important to pray and ask the Father where He wants you, because I think it's easy for us to get carried away, to see what other people are doing, especially in our encompassing communities. Excuse me. Be it at work, where you go to work out, book clubs you're part of, church even, doesn't matter. It's very easy for us to be influenced by what everybody else thinks we should be doing. I feel like today's culture heavily pushes the need for degrees and titles in order to be successful financially, but that's another thing. I ended up making, not that this matters, I just want to prove this point. I ended up making more in, I don't know, maybe the first in 4 years, more than as a cosmetologist, more than my classmates who were studying and who got a degree and then worked using that degree. I, as a hairdresser, that profession is honestly looked down upon a little bit in this country, but I was able to sustain myself and then some. I did very well, but even then, that's not the point. The point is to make sure that whatever you do with your life, whatever you study or don't study, whether you go here or there, whatever you decide to do with your life, make sure you are praying. And after you pray, make sure you are sitting still enough to hear his answer, to hear what he wants for you, where he wants to place you. Because we may think that right now this is what I'm supposed to be doing, where I should be. And in 10 years that could change, or even 5 years, 2 years, anything. We don't know. Only he knows what's on the other side. And excuse me, the time. I also encourage you to not be discouraged if you've studied something and you aren't using that anymore or right now, or if you've lost interest in that, or if you know you made a mistake and maybe you should have gone this way or that way. Do not be discouraged. It's better to find out now than to stay there and keep at it and trying to make it happen. I encourage you to pray. I don't know who this is for. If this is helping you in any way, please let me know. I just felt it really important for me to share. But I encourage you to just trust the Father and to make sure you're sitting around waiting to hear what he says about where he wants you. Because in my head, then 18-year-old me was thinking, I want to serve the Lord full time, and this is what that's going to look like. Fast forward 10, 11 years later, it's just funny. I feel like I do serve the Lord full time. I do. This is, excuse me, this is how I share the gospel. I don't know everybody on the other end of my screen, but I am sharing God's heart with you. And I pray that it would point you to him. And I also get to, I'm recording here in my salon boutique, which I get to use whenever I want. So everything that I had intended beforehand, it is so. It just looks different than what I thought it would be. And again, I don't believe that was my wisdom, because it was not. I believe that was God's protection and him closing some doors for me and placing some desires in my heart, so that I would end up here. I know I'm meant to be here and do this, and it's just funny to me to see full circle now. But I just felt encouraged and felt like it was very important for me to tell you to pray, to be led where you are meant to be led to, and that you do not need to feel less than if you don't go to school. Jesus didn't go to school, to any fancy Bible schools, Bible colleges, or universities. He didn't. He was humble. Not to say that people who do go to school aren't humble. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we need to keep our eyes on him and how he did things, and to be sitting still enough to hear what it is that he wants for us specifically, because what he tells the neighbor isn't what's best or right for you. He's so loving enough to make sure that everything is unique to you. So yeah, if this has been an encouragement to you, please let me know. If there's any way I can pray for you specifically, please let me know. I appreciate you so much for hanging out with me. I know this one was a little bit longer, but it was important for me to share. And don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. I'll see you guys later.